Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what was the most petty thing an adult did to you when you were younger? In Cub Scouts, we were doing the Pinewood Derby. I worked really hard on my car, my dad helped, of course. I had already won the first 3 rounds, and before the final round, one of the dads of the other kids picked up my car to hand it to me. It slipped out of his hand, and broke the wheels when it hit the floor. I'm convinced it was not an accident, and he was sabotaging my car so his kid would win. This was over 30 years ago, and I'm still salty about it. One of my packs had to make a rule that only the parent of the scout could touch their car because stuff like this was happening way too often. The Pinewood Derby and the other racing events were meant to build sportsmanship, yet some parents take it way overboard. There's a movie making fun of exactly this called Down and Derby. Yes, same with my son's Cub Scout pack. Only the parent of the scout and the one person checking to see if the cars were qualified, weight, etc. could touch the cars. If this was not followed, the offending party was immediately disqualified. When I expressed my shock at this to my husband because all the families currently involved with scouts are awesome, he said it was due to huge problems in the past that nearly escalated into fisticuffs that these rules were put in place. So, the problem was the parents, not the kids, as usual. Sigh. I was feeling sick one day in grade 3 or 4 and the substitute teacher wouldn't let me go to the nurse's office because I didn't look sick enough. I had strep throat. What are you doing, strep throat? I hate how much I love this comment. I once got yelled at by the nurse for bleeding through my padded too fast. Like I did it on purpose. Edit till a lot of people who are school nurses should absolutely not be school nurses. Did you even try talking to your platelets? Maybe give them a half-time pep talk. Oh yeah, I had that one a lot. I'd always be running a fever but they stick a thermometer on my face, call it fine and off to class I'd go. Get home and it'd be 102. My mom started requesting that if I claimed a fever, to call her. She was a nurse so she knew I couldn't fake it well enough to get past her, so she trusted to only call when I needed to. I claimed fever probably 5 or 6 times throughout school and I was always right. I broke my ankle at school, the nurse said I was fine and was just making it up. I have a ridiculously high pain threshold so I wasn't bawling my eyes out. I was on crutches for I think nearly a month. Same thing happened again when I literally broke my neck years later. School was honestly the worst time of my life. Drove me to try suicide twice. I leapt off a 2nd-story balcony but landed in the woodchip garden mulch so I was badly bruised and dislocated one of my knees but was otherwise fairly unscathed. I was given detention for showing off and walking on the garden. I was in middle school at a friend's sleepover. Her parents were very strict, her siblings got pulled out of public school to go to a Catholic school, were homeschooled in high school, and they scared the hell out of me. Anyway, it was probably like 11 p.m. at this sleepover, and her mom hesitantly let us watch the Disney movie Zio, Girl of the 21st Century. I laughed at a part, and even though her parents were awake, they came into the living room to scold me for being too loud. Not long after, I took a drink of water, got a little strangled, and started coughing. They called my parents after 11 p.m. to come pick me up because I couldn't behave. They had no regard for them being asleep and having jobs to get to early in the morning, they wanted me out for laughing and coughing in the span of about 10 minutes. My parents never let me stay the night at her house again, and are still pissed at them for doing that almost 20 years later. Sounds like they just didn't want you there and were trying to come up with an excuse to send you home. If they were that hesitant to let them watch a really tame Disney movie, they probably saw her as an unknown, outside evil. I was at an Easter egg hunt when I was around 6. It was in a big park area with lots of rocks. I saw a little chocolate egg foil glisten and ran over to pick it up. As I reached my hand out to pick it up, a man trod on my hand to stop me getting it, then he called his kid over to find it. Jesus, this might be the worst one on here, assaulting a child over a candy. When I was like 9 or 10, I was rollerblading home from my mom's work, right? And I'm heading down 4th Street, and I find something like $16 on the ground, a 10, a 5, and single just laying there on the sidewalk next to some outdoor seating at a cafe. Being the obnoxiously nice kid that I was, I pick it up and kind up look around, wondering if anybody lost their money. That's when the lady in the weird sweater vest comes around the corner. We make eye contact and I tell her I found this money, and she goes, "Huh. Let me see it. And my Avas is like, oh yeah, that makes sense. She's a asterisk grown up asterisk, she can sort this out. She looks around, hands me the single back, puts her finger to her mouth in a SHHH gesture, then she just fucks off, never to be seen again. And that's why I always just pocket money like a thieving little snake. I don't know that it's a snake-like thing to pocket the money. How are you supposed to track down the owner anyway? It's not like it has their name on it, and who memorize the serial numbers on their bills. You'll just get some radio claiming it's theirs, and have to take their word for it. I had the opposite happen to me, was about 10 and riding in the car with my mom while driving down a road that paralleled the beach. I spotted what looked like money in the road, blowing around in the wind, so Mom stopped and I found two $100 bills. Mom sent me down the path to the beach to see if I could who it might belong to, and there were a couple of guys walking down with fishing gear. I ask if they were missing any money, and one guy reaches into his back pocket and pulls out some cash, counts it and says, yeah, he's missing about $500. So I give him the cash I found and he says, I'll split with you however much you find. I went back and looked all over and found one more bill and brought it to him. He gave me $150. Related but unrelated. I found a bunch of bills that had just spilled out of someone's bag in Times Square in the middle of rush hour. I picked it up and looked around, but whomever dropped it was gone. A woman passing by just said, it's yours now, kid. Put it in your pocket before anyone else notices. I was $53 richer that day. Opposite for me too. As a child I found a £20 note on the street. There was a grown-up ahead, so I ran to him and reached out asking if it was his. He said no, and to not ask any more grown-ups because they'd just take it. I bought many sweets that day. Cool guy. My mom asked if I wanted to play 52 card pickup, while my friends were over. I asked her what it was and she said I either want to play or I don't. I told her I didn't want to play anything if I didn't know what it was. She got visibly irritated and threw the cards on the ground and said, this is 52 card pickup, pick them up. She then threatened to ground me as she watched me pick the cards up and put them away nicely. I think it was worse because my friends were watching. This bothers me more than it probably should. She was mad because she couldn't outsmart a child and abused her power over you. This hits home a bit. She wasn't the worst mom by a long shot. In a lot of ways she was a great mom, but she certainly parented by control and fear. There really was no choice to not play and not pick up the cards, and we don't have a great relationship to this day. It's supposed to be a funny joke, but she got mad you weren't a moron lol. When I was in like 5th grade I didn't put a book cover on my math book. It required cutting up a paper bag, something similar. We couldn't really afford the fancy ones, and I just never did it. So my math teacher took away my math book, so I couldn't do homework or follow along in class. Like WTF, who does that to a kid? When my mom found out, she went down to the school and raised hell about interfering with my right to an education or something. The school district was terrified of her until I graduated. We were required to cover our books too, but the teachers who were strict about it made us do it in class. Like literally the day we are handed the book, the teacher got out a big stack of paper bags and we'd spend 10 minutes all making book covers. I like this. They feel strongly about enforcing things and then supply the resources and guidance needed so that everyone can be successful. I wish more people were like this. Grounded me for leaving a hanger on the dryer. Then extended it for reading while grounded. Then further for sleeping when told I can't read. Shit still pisses me off years later. What were they expecting you to do? Stare holes into space-time continuum. If only I knew. Even my older sister, by a year, came out of her room to ask that same question at the time. In elementary school I used to talk to the lunch lady every day, and then the one day I didn't say hi. She came to my lunch table and told me I was fake, phony, and a few other things and stopped speaking to me. I still don't understand what her problem was. My great-grandfather's sister was my elementary school lunchroom lady. I got in trouble a few times for calling her Aunt Sarah instead of Mrs. ___________. Hadn't thought about that in years. Thank you for triggering that memory. Edit, it was my 2nd grade teacher who had issues, not Aunt Sarah. Sarah was a special lady. Edit #2, thank you for the shiny things. Oh shiny. 3. That brought back a memory. We had a school aide who always went by Grandma Jean. I'm not sure if it was because her granddaughter was in my class or not, but we all called her Grandma Jean. Anyways, we get a new principal when we're in 3rd or 4th grade. Principal gave us hell and tried to give us lunch detention for calling her Grandma Jean. Keep in mind, we'd been calling this lady Grandma Jean since we were all in kindergarten. Grandma Jean came up to us and the principal and just flat out said something to the effect of, "They call me Grandma Jean. I am Grandma Jean." Grandma Jean is a badass, and last I knew still kicking in what must be her 80s or 90s. Still lives in her own home too.